1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How we bolster the ACL. I do have to say, first thing, medical disclaimer, I am not a doctor, I am a strength coach. If you have any medical issues, please consult a doctor, see a physiotherapist, see someone that's going to address these issues. I am a strength coach, I'm trying to learn all I can from my mentors, from the data that I see from the people that I work with. And if we have anyone coming off the ACL, we work with their doctors and physios to be able to help them actually get to where they want to be. And we've seen the results been insane. So, what I want to talk about today. First thing is that shallow knee angles with cyclic tension. This is a step up. In the step up, the ACL is getting directly strengthened. In these shallow knee angles, this is where the ACL has the most tension on it. First thing we do is use sled, use band and knee extensions to get strength in this shallow knee position. Cyclic tension, which is repeated effort at shallow knee angles, which is this kind of angle, activates living cells within the ACL and helps it to heal. And this is proven by science. So that's the first step there. Concentric only. So literally this is such a gentle move that you can do quite early in a knee injury stage. Then we go to the step up. This right here is 6 inches, but what we want to do is work from whatever level we can. I start at a flat ground, we can start 2 inch, we can start 4 inch, whatever doesn't cause us any pain. This is a joint dominant movement. This is going to be directly challenging the tendons, the ligaments, the connective tissue inside of the knee. This means that we don't want to feel pain inside our knee. If we feel pain inside our knee, we need to stop this exercise. But this is going to start to build strength in this area where the ACL is directly challenged. And one of the first standards that we want people to hit is to get up to 6 inches. Once we get to 6 inches, we see that starting to load is good enough. But we want to go high reps on this. When I first get people in, we're going 50, 100 reps on this. Loads and loads and loads of cyclic tension over and over, repeated efforts. And that's going to be less likely to injure the knee, but also get more healing there. But I never really, unless like people are really advanced, like 1-2 years down the line of using this step up, do I start to get people on less than like 15 reps, to be honest. I keep a high reps on that. But this is going to build quite a good foundation for knee strength. 2 was then the deep knee bends. So when I have people come to me, they often have not been training this deep range of motion, and this deep range of motion is actually where the connective tissue within the knee gets strengthened. So for a lot of years, we just thought that only the muscle can get stronger because we hadn't tested below 90 degrees. But when we test below 90 degrees, it shows that the tendons are lengthened out, the connective tissue within the knee are compressed, and this is actually passively strengthening the connective tissue. This is building a good base of strength, and we don't need to progress this crazy fast with loads of load because that deep knee bend is getting loads of healing at whatever level we can. And again, gotta be done pain-free. Can be regressed by height. I get people to usually start around 12 inches. If there's any pain in the 12 inches, again, use the assistance of your body weight, take that weight off your knee. And if there's any pain still, go a little bit shallower in the knee angles and just work your way to the point where you can get this deep knee bend in the ACG split squat. Then from there, we're working down to flat ground. Within the first couple of months, we're getting people to get to flat ground on the ATG split squats. That's our first goal for that. Over time, we want to hit elite standards, so I'm just talking about first goals here. Third is then the elephant walk. We know that the Nordic is one of the best exercises for the ACL. That knee flexion strength is going to really help protect us against tears. It's going to keep that strength behind the knee. But people aren't ready for the Nordic curl to start with. And also, the ACL usually tears in this kind of range where we're nearly extended. And when people first start something like the Nordic, we don't, I'll even talk about the hamstring curl before this, but the elephant walk gives a good base of length behind the knee before we go to get into something like Nordics. And that in combination with the 4th step, which is hamstring curl, preferably a lying leg curl machine, is going to really create that base. So when we do go into the Nordic, it's going to be so much better. Because like I say, I want people to be controlling this range down here. That's the most important for the ACL. And not many people have a bench like this where they can regress it. So what I see people doing is they're using their hips loads and loads, and they never get to there. They always get to the shallow knee bend. The furthest they go is like here. When we really need that leg to get straightened, that's really going to be where most of the benefits from this exercise come from. So that third standard is then palms to floor elephant walk. That's our first goal for that. And then the lying hamstring curls. We first just want to do lying hamstring curls. We can do one leg at a time if we have imbalances from side to side. And then to prep us for the Nordic down the line, because the Nordic is a lot of eccentric strength. We can do leg curls with 2 legs up and 1 leg down. That's going to overload the eccentric portion and get us more ready for the Nordics. On the lying leg curl, I like to get people up to like 50% of body weight. Again, we can do that within the first 3 to 6 months of the journey while working the Nordics. Maximum once a week, depending on where they're at. Sometimes I don't even do it to start with. It's a long-term journey that we're talking about for there. We know the ACL connects from the back of the thigh bone to the front of the shin bone, kind of down across like this. And we know that it usually tears when decelerating or switching direction in this kind of angle where the knee's just slightly bent. We also know the ACL doesn't contract in the same way that muscles do, but we know there's under tension in stuff like knee flexion. So we're targeting different areas. We're building a foundation before we go into something more hip dominant. But the fifth one, after we do all of this to build up to a certain standard, is then the Nordic. But on the Nordic, we literally just want to work to being able to control the full range of motion. And again, I'm pretty sore because I had a game the other day, but even sore, I can control this full range. Like, that's what we want, and we just want the eccentrics to start with. I don't want people to start coming up, because I've seen that's where people most get injured, and most of the gains are going to come from that eccentric lowering portion. Because down here, if you look at a Nordic curl versus a leg curl, people are probably saying, like, why would we not just do leg curl? Like, these look cool, but what's the difference? Well, the leg curl is more muscle dominant, so it's going to be harder when the hamstring is contracted up here, whereas the Nordic curl is going to be hardest when you're lengthened down here, in that position where the ACL tears. Whereas in the leg curl, there's no tension when we're down here. All the tension is up the top, or in that mid portion. So it's more of a short range muscle dominant exercise. But then when we come to the Nordic curl, that tension's all that lengthened position. But when we're flexed up here, like, there's no tension. I can just chill up there all day. It's that long range protection that we're looking at. It's more intense for the back of the knee. It's more connective tissue dominant than it is muscle dominant. Obviously, it's going to build the hamstrings at the same time, but that end range strength is what we're really looking at. And our standard for that is just to lower down for 5 reps. We want that full control. That's our first standard for that. So we built the base with the ATG split squat for the deep knee bends. And again, like I said earlier, the connective tissue is getting strengthened in these deep knee bends, not just the muscle, it's the muscle as well. But I like the ATG split squat first because we usually have imbalances side to side, and we know that with more imbalanced legs side to side, it's more chance for knee ligament tear. So we want to build that base side to side first before I get into the VMO squat. When I was first doing the VMO squat, I'm literally coming over here. Not this extreme, but this is just to show you. I was coming over here and like using this quad muscle more than I was using this one, because this one was weak. And your muscle just kind of does that, just kind of compensates if you're not really thinking about it and if you have some kind of injury. So building that base with the split squat, we literally want to get full hamstring covering the calf. The heel can come up. We want to get that back knee off the floor, squeeze the glute hard as we can, and get that full hamstring covering calf on both legs. That's going to start to build the quad strength, build the glute strength, build the adductors, build the hip flexors. And when we do go into the VMO squat, we're going to have much more balance between sides. It's going to be much easier to get into. First standard on this is literally just going to be control 10 reps all the way down, full range of motion, and then we start to load from there. So you can see how this is all building from the ground up. We start with strength through the foot, through the ground, with both the backward sled and the step ups in that short range of motion for the knee. We then have the ATG split squat, which is training that full knee bend one leg at a time. Elephant walk, which is lengthening out those tissues. Hamstring curls, which is that muscle dominant knee flexion. Nordic curls, which are then the connective tissue dominant. The VMO squat, which then incorporates both legs, but again, connective tissue dominant, more knee dominant. We're not coming on with our hips down here. We've got our knees up out here, and that's going to be way more knee, way more connective tissue. When I say connective tissue, if you don't know what I mean, this means the tissue that connects different stuff. So the tendons connect muscle to bone. For example, the ligaments connect bone to bone. These are going to be stronger, but they're going to take longer to adapt. Then we come to the hip power. And when we strengthen through the hips, we strengthen through the hamstrings at the same time, because our hamstrings are hip extenders as well as knee flexors. Those are the two functions of the hamstrings. But what we usually see is box squats, Bulgarian split squats, all this stuff, where we're powering up our hips, powering up our upper limbs, getting super tight, but then we're literally manufacturing ACL tears, because you think that accelerations, we're building all this acceleration, there's more hip in acceleration, but then there's more ankle, tib, knee in the deceleration. So we're building all this force in the hip, and then we can't handle that in the knee, and that's where the ACLs are tearing, in that deceleration, in that change of direction phase. So we build all of this first, and then we start to strengthen on top of that with the hips. And like I say, the best one I like for this is then that RDL. I can't perform the moves today as well because my hamstrings are trashed from football the other day. I haven't played football in a while, and we went and played football, and I'm absolutely trashed, so I'm not going to be the best here. But when we talk about the RDL, we literally want full stretch. Our first thing that we think about is shoulders down, torso extended, and then we're pushing our butt a little bit back, and we want to feel that hamstring stretch already, and then we're going to be lowering down into it, keeping this back extended. We don't want it to break at all. That's going to make sure that our upper hamstrings are healthy, that our hip capsules more healthy, and it's a lot of hip strength, it's a lot of lower back strength. It's really, really good for sprint speed, for acceleration, for that kind of stuff. But again, it's building with the hamstrings and the hips at the same time, not just building the hips and then avoiding the stuff lower down the body. So this is the stuff we kind of look at when we're talking about bolstering the ACL, bolstering the kind of connective tissue inside the knee. The ACL tear rates are so high right now, and we're literally manufacturing them by what I said with the hip power and not enough knee strength. So building the opposite way is gonna reduce these numbers dramatically. And if you wanna work one-on-one with us, there's gonna be a link in the top of the description down below, has our application form. If you click on that, we'll be able to get back to you. But I really appreciate you watching this, and I really hope it helps.